Hello boys and girls, welcome to Mrs. Spander's Math Movies. This is lesson 5-3 for course 2, 4th period. We're going to be looking at proportions today, and our objectives are to test whether ratios form a proportion by using equivalent ratios and cross products. Alright, so once again we do have a couple of definitions or key concepts that we want to look at. First of all, a proportion is a statement that two ratios are equal. And we have a couple of examples here. 1/2 is equal to 2/4. This would be a proportion. And A over B is equal to C over D, where B and D neither equals 0. Okay, so it's just simply a statement that they are equal. Now, we have something called the cross products property, which is going to become your friend. This is a nice little property that we're going to be using over and over again in this chapter. So, anyway, here we go. Cross products are the two products found by multiplying the denominator of each ratio by the numerator of the other ratio. Okay, so again, we're going to be setting these up. Like I said earlier, we'll be working, a lot of the work we do with ratios we'll be working with in fraction form because they're so much easier to do that way. But basically, what this tells us, if two ratios form a proportion, their cross products are equal, and if they have equal cross products, they form a proportion. Now, we're talking about cross products here. What we mean is 6, if we take 6 times 12, the numerator of one times the denominator of the other, 6 times 12 is one cross product, that gives us 72. 8 times 9 is the other cross product, and that's also 72. So this shows, we can show with numbers that we have a proportion. In algebra, we would just denote this with variables. A times D equals B times C when they are proportional. Okay. Okay, so let's look at this. Writing ratios in simplest form. So one thing we can do is we can write ratios in simplest form to determine whether or not they are equivalent. Remember, that's just like writing a fraction in simplest form. So do the ratios 42 to 56 and 56 to 64 form a proportion. What we'll do in each case is divide the numerator and denominator by their greatest common factor. Remember, if you can't remember or figure out quickly what the greatest common factor is, you can always do a couple of sets of division until you come to lowest terms or simplest form. Here our greatest common factor is 14. 42 divided by 14 is 3. 56 divided by 14 is 4. Again, you might have started dividing by 2 and then divided by 7. That's fine. Here our greatest common factor for 56 and 64 is 8. So 56 divided by 8 is 7. And 6 divided by 8 is 8. The ratios in simplest form are not equivalent because 3/4 does not equal 7/8. So they do not form a proportion. Okay? If they had both come out to 3/4 or to 7/8, then they would form a proportion. So basically, again, in simplest, if you reduce them to simplest form, that's very easy to figure out, are they equivalent or not. If they reduce to the same value, then they're equivalent. there's a quick check on that example. And I will move on to the next example, though. And it says, do the ratios in each pair form a proportion. So we have a couple of pairs to test out here. We have 4 to 10 and 6 to 15. Okay, so what we're going to do, we'll work on the left-hand one first, so we're not trying to do two things at one time. The first thing we're going to do is write the cross products. It might be helpful to you to connect them with the X or the cross like that. If you want to, fine. 4 times 15 is going to give me one side. 4 times 15 is 60. And then the other side, 10 times 6, which is also 60. So 60 is equal to 60. So that tells us 4 to 10 and 6 to 15 form a proportion. Okay, so again, it was just simply finding those cross products. Let's go here. Let's find out if these ratios are proportional. So I'm going to do 8 times 7 and 6 times 9. 8 times 7 is 56. 6 times 9 is 54. They are not equal, so I can put an equal sign with a slash. Remember, that means not equal. So 8 to 6 and 9 to 7 do not form a proportion. Okay, it's that simple. It's that straightforward. Okay, so you have example 1 on the other page, quick check number 1, and then you have 3 parts to quick check number 2. Please have these ready for discussion next time we meet in class.